She parked in a handicapped spot just like she had 100 times before. Only this time, a man walked up and demanded to know who she thought she was. He said she didn't look like a veteran. He said worse. She didn't argue. She didn't shout. But what happened after that moment in a parking lot outside a quiet strip mall would set off a chain reaction no one saw coming. Before we dive in, where are you listening from right now? What's your story? Drop it in the comments. Welcome to Grateful Stories, where tales of compassion and kindness are told. Let's uncover what really happened. The sedan creaked as she pulled it into the end space, the one closest to the entrance. The afternoon sun bounced off the hood, making the faded silver paint look whiter than it really was. Madison Cruz cut the engine and reached across the seat for her cane, which she kept tucked beside the console like a forgotten umbrella. She hung her blue placard from the rearview mirror. Disabled veteran. The lettering had begun to fade, especially around the corners. The lamination was peeling, and the plastic ring was cracked. Her left leg stiffened the moment she swung it out. Not the kind of pain that screamed, but the kind that whispered each time her foot touched pavement. A dull tug up her calf, into her lower back. She took a deep breath, exhaled slowly, and adjusted her weight to the right side. Then she stepped forward. It was supposed to be a quick errand. A bottle of ibuprofen, dog food, maybe paper towels. Nothing heavy. Just another Tuesday afternoon at a strip mall in East San Diego. No ceremony. No parade. She was halfway across the parking lane when a man's voice caught her off guard. "That's your car." She turned slowly. A man stood by the row of carts near the entrance. Mid-50s. White shirt tucked into belted khakis, sunglasses pushed high on his forehead. His voice carried that casual authority some men seem to be born with, as if the asphalt beneath his feet belonged to him. "Yes," she said. She wasn't sure why she answered. He stepped closer. "You parked in the disabled vet spot." She nodded. "I am one." His eyebrows twitched, amused. "Where'd you get the placard, husbands?" Maybe her jaw stiffened. "No, mine." There was a pause. He squinted at her, sizing her up like a bad receipt. "Really?" He said, "What were you, a receptionist on a base somewhere?" She didn't reply. Her fingers tightened around the cane. "I mean, come on," he continued, gesturing toward her. "You don't look like someone who's seen combat. You look like someone who got a desk job and a bonus sticker." Madison didn't flinch, but her breath caught. She'd heard variations of it before. Different voices, same message. "You don't look the part." Behind the glass doors, a store employee in a red vest glanced over, then turned away. "People like you abuse the system," the man added. "Then real veterans can't find a spot." She looked at him carefully. "I served 14 years in the Navy," she said. "Submarine Engineering Corps. I was injured during a CO2 malfunction in 2012. Medically retired." He laughed, almost kindly. "So you were behind a desk?" "No," she said. "I was in the hull." He rolled his eyes, clearly uninterested in details. "Sure. Well, congratulations on your parking spot." She turned to go. As she reached the door, he called out behind her, just loud enough to be sure she'd hear. "Don't milk the uniform for free privileges, sweetheart. Some of us earned ours." That last word landed like a coin tossed into a dark well. She didn't look back, just kept walking. Inside, the air conditioning felt sharp. She stood by the carts, trying to remember what she needed. Ibuprofen, dog food, something else. She pulled out her phone, stared at her notes app, but her hand wouldn't stop shaking. The screen blurred. It took 10 minutes for her heart rate to return to normal. She skipped the dog food, left with just a small bottle of pain reliever and a pair of earplugs. Back in the car, she sat longer than she meant to, one hand on the wheel, the other holding the bottle, rolling it in her palm like dice. The sun had lowered a few inches. A woman with a toddler passed by, and the child pointed to the sticker on Madison's windshield. "What's that?" the girl asked. "Nothing." The mother replied, "Just a sign." Madison turned the key, On the way home, she detoured past the local VA office where she worked part-time. The receptionist waved her through. It was quiet, only a few volunteers sorting pamphlets, the usual stack of appointment forms on the corner desk. Her colleague Nate was just logging off his computer when she walked in. "Hey," he said, looking up. "Everything okay?" She nodded and then shook her head. Something happened. She told him, not with outrage, but with the same flat, restrained tone she used when reporting an equipment malfunction. He listened, arms crossed, jaw tight. "Third time this year someone said that to one of us," he muttered. "And that's just what we hear about." Madison sighed. "It's not even the words, Nate. It's the face. Like I'm impersonating someone." "You're not," he said. "You know that." "Do I?" He didn't answer. When she got home that night, she didn't turn on the TV. She poured a glass of water, sat by the kitchen window, and stared out into the dusk. Her cane leaned against the wall like a silent roommate. Later, she opened her laptop. She wrote a short email to the management office of the shopping center. It was only 5 lines long. She described the incident briefly, no names, no accusations. She didn't ask for compensation or an apology. Her final sentence read, "I'm not reporting this for myself. I just want your team to be aware that it's happening, and it's not the first time." She hovered over the send button for a moment, then she clicked. The screen blinked. The message disappeared into the quiet hum of the internet. There was no applause, no thank you, just a blinking cursor and the creak of the chair beneath her. Outside, someone's wind chimes clinked faintly in the breeze. She closed the laptop. Then she leaned back, eyes fixed on the ceiling, and let her breath out slowly, evenly, the way they'd taught her in the Navy, in fire drills, in damage control simulations, in moments when panic could cost lives. And for a few seconds, she could almost hear the deep, rhythmic pulse of the ocean again. That evening, the house was too quiet. Madison didn't turn on any lights except for the one above the stove. The glow didn't reach far, but it was enough to see the wooden box on the bookshelf. She pulled it down gently, brushing dust from its corners. Inside was the metal, still bright despite the years. Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, awarded in 2012. Her fingertips hovered above it for a moment, then rested beside it, not touching. She picked up her glass instead. The water inside trembled slightly as she raised it, her fingers unable to keep fully still. Madison sat on the edge of the couch and let the metal stare back at her. It never made her feel pride, only weight. That year had been the last time she saw the inside of a submarine. USS Denver, mid-patrol, routine systems check. She remembered the sharp hiss of escaping gas just faint enough to miss. If you weren't listening, she was listening. The CO2 sensor on the panel had flickered once, then gone dark. The chief engineer brushed it off. Madison didn't. She stood, checked the lower hatch herself, and opened it just enough to see fog creeping out like dry ice on a stage. There was no time to raise the alarm. One of the junior techs was already inside, unconscious by the equipment rack. She crawled in, held her breath, and dragged him out by the collar. Her knee slammed against a pipe on the way out hard enough to split the bone. The ship's systems stabilized 10 minutes later. The tech she pulled out survived. He was transferred 3 months later. Never said much, except one line during discharge. "You caught it before anyone else did. I owe you." It was the only acknowledgement she ever got. Madison didn't think about that day often, but tonight, with her leg throbbing and her breath short, the memory returned on its own, uninvited, but clear. After the injury, she spent 11 months in rehab. Her left foot never quite recovered full sensation. Walking on uneven surfaces still felt like stepping through water in the dark. She was honorably discharged the following year. There was no ceremony, just a handshake and some paperwork. What came after was harder. The first time she went to a VA hospital alone, the clerk at the intake desk looked around her shoulder. "Is your husband the veteran?" she asked. "No," Madison had said. "Just me." The clerk didn't apologize, just handed her the form and moved on. At job interviews, she learned to leave the word submarine out of her resume. It only led to long pauses. One recruiter had leaned back and said, "Oh, you're a technical vet. That's not what I expected. I thought maybe admin or logistics." Another smiled politely and said, "Honestly, you look too soft to be Navy." That's a compliment. By the way, it wasn't. So she stopped trying to impress, took a part-time admin job at the local VA instead. Quiet hours, steady paycheck, and people who didn't need an explanation when she limped. But some days, even there, it followed her. The questions, the assumptions. She'd once heard someone say, "It's hard to tell who's really a vet nowadays," as if the title needed to be earned twice, once in uniform and again in public. She started keeping her credentials in her wallet, just in case someone asked. One morning, while pumping gas, a man glanced at the placard in her window and said, "Whose car?" "Your dad's," she didn't answer. She just finished fueling and drove off. That had been 6 months ago, but it still lingered. Tonight, after staring at the metal for too long, she put the box away, not in anger, just with a kind of resignation. She stood slowly, careful not to jar her knee, and walked to the kitchen counter. Her cane tapped the floor softly, like punctuation after each step. Her phone buzzed. A message from Nate, still thinking about earlier. "Let me know if you need anything." She didn't reply. Instead, she opened her laptop and logged into an old forum she hadn't touched in over a year, an online community for female veterans. She had signed up back when she still thought those spaces might offer something close to solidarity. She created a new thread. No pictures, no real name. Just a title was told today, "I didn't look like I served." The body of the post was short. "I parked in a disabled veteran spot. A man told me I was faking it. Said I looked like a receptionist. I told him I was Navy engineering. He laughed and walked away. I don't need advice. I just needed to say it somewhere." She hit post and closed the screen. She didn't expect responses. The forum wasn't very active anymore. But when she checked again before bed, there were already 6 replies. One said, "Same here. I was infantry. They still ask me whose jacket I'm wearing." Another wrote, "You're not alone. I'm Marine Corps. 2 tours. Still get asked if I followed my husband overseas." Someone else posted, "Don't delete this. People need to see what it's like outside the uniform." For a while, Madison just stared at the screen. Then she scrolled, one reply after another, each one a quiet echo of something she thought only she experienced. It didn't fix anything, but it softened the edge. She shut the laptop and lay in bed, eyes open in the dark. She thought about taking down the placard, maybe next week, maybe after one more incident, maybe after someone spits instead of speaks. But she knew she wouldn't, because every time she considered it, she remembered the sailor she dragged out of that engine bay. His voice had been quiet but clear. You caught it before anyone else. That was her record, her proof. Not a medal, not a card. A single sentence from someone who lived because she moved first. And that, she thought, was more than enough. Madison didn't check the forum again for a few days. She wasn't avoiding it, just figured it had run its course. A few supportive comments, a small wave of empathy, and then back into the quiet. But someone else had taken it further. On Thursday morning, she received a text from Nate. "You're going viral." She stared at it, confused. Viral? What was he talking about? She opened her laptop and went back to the thread. It was still there, mostly unchanged. But beneath her post, someone had uploaded a blurry still from a security camera, one of the outdoor units mounted above the entrance to the strip mall. There, grainy but unmistakable, stood the man, his face half turned, hand gesturing, mouth mid-sentence. The shot had also caught part of his car, including the license plate. A few users asked if the footage was legal to post. Others didn't seem to care. The thread had been screenshotted and shared on Reddit, then reposted to Twitter by a military spouse group. By Friday evening, the image had been viewed over 200,000 times. She hadn't shared his name, but someone else did. It didn't take long. The man was identified as Douglas R. Hanley, head of mechanical systems for a mid-size aerospace contractor in Oceanside. According to LinkedIn, he'd been with the company for over a decade. Well-respected, professionally dressed, known in his industry. His image circulated faster than facts could catch up. Some of his former co-workers recognized him immediately. One even commented publicly, "I always wondered what made him so confident." Turns out it was just arrogance. By Saturday, the company's social media page was flooded with comments. Not all were angry, but most carried a tone of disappointment, the kind of tone people use when someone they trusted let them down. Then came the statement, brief, official, polished. "We are aware of a video circulating involving one of our employees. We are reviewing the matter internally. We do not condone harassment of any kind. No names, no apologies, just procedure." But the silence from Hanley himself spoke louder than any press release. Then something unexpected happened. A post appeared on Facebook from an account with the same last name. A young woman, college age, profile picture showing a volleyball team. Her status read, "Some people wear uniforms for a few years and keep their honor forever. Others wear suits and lose it in seconds. Not every father is a role model. No tag, no photo, just words." People connected the dots quickly. By Sunday morning, her post had over 1,000 shares. Madison watched it unfold from a distance. She hadn't responded to any comments, hadn't liked any replies, hadn't added her voice to the noise. But the noise had grown louder anyway. She hadn't asked for this, and yet, in a strange way, it felt fair, not satisfying, not victorious, just fair. Monday brought a new email. It came from an official-looking address, ova.gov. The subject line read, "Invitation to participate in leadership dialogue. Confidential." She clicked it. "Ms. Cruz, we've followed the recent public discourse surrounding your experience. While we understand you didn't initiate the attention, your voice has sparked meaningful conversations across veteran communities. We are organizing a closed-door roundtable next month with key leadership at the Department of Veterans Affairs. This is not a press event. It is an internal dialogue designed to address persistent gender and visibility issues within the veteran population. We would be honored if you would consider joining as a guest speaker. Please note, no media will be present, no filming, only decision makers. Your insight matters. Respectfully, Ann Delgado, Senior Advisor, Office of Veteran Outreach." Madison read the email twice. Then she closed her laptop and sat back. She wasn't sure how she felt, not flattered, not nervous. More like someone had just handed her a key and walked away, without telling her which door it opened. Later that evening, she went for a walk. The neighborhood was quiet, the streetlights humming gently overhead. Her left leg ached by the fourth block, so she stopped to sit at a bench near the dog park. The sounds of panting dogs and distant laughter drifted through the air. She pulled the email back up on her phone. Read it again. It didn't feel like a trap. It didn't feel like a PR stunt. If anything, it felt overdue. When she got home, she called Nate. "Do you think I should do it?" she asked. There was a pause on the other end. "Then do you want to?" "I'm not sure." "Then let me ask it this way," he said. "Would you have wanted someone like you in the room 5 years ago?" She smiled faintly. "Yeah," she said, "I would have." So she wrote back. Her reply was brief, direct, and careful. No capitalization in the subject line, no flourishes. "I'll come. But I won't speak to be thanked. I'll speak because I know what it feels like not to be seen." She hit send. The following days passed slowly. She received a confirmation email, followed by a schedule, a parking pass, and an NDA form. Nothing fancy, just enough to feel real. She didn't tell anyone else. No social media, no thread, no public announcement. She wanted to arrive the same way she always did, quietly, through the side entrance, with her placard hanging crookedly from the mirror. She didn't practice a speech. She didn't print handouts or slides. She did one thing only. She opened the wooden box on her shelf, took out the metal, and placed it inside the side pocket of her bag. Not to show, just to carry. Not as proof, but as memory. The hall was smaller than she expected. It looked more like a converted classroom than a federal meeting space. Fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead, and the folding chairs creaked as people shifted in their seats. No banners, no podium, just a single table at the front and a wireless mic resting on its edge. Madison sat in the second row, quietly scanning the room. About 40 people had gathered. Some wore uniforms. Others were in civilian clothes, mostly men. A few women, a mix of ages. Some had name tags with government seals. Others held notebooks, flipping through quietly. She recognized a few from video calls: VA administrators, veteran outreach staff, policy advisors, the kind of people who made decisions in quiet rooms, far from press cameras. Someone stood up front and gave a short introduction. Nothing grand, just a welcome and a note that the conversation would be informal and off the record. Then they turned to her. "Miss Cruz," the moderator said. "Thank you for being here. Would you mind starting us off?" Madison nodded once and stood. She didn't bring notes, didn't carry a prepared speech. She walked slowly to the front, her cane tapping softly on the tile. The mic clicked on in her hand, but she didn't raise it right away. She looked at the audience, not searching for a face, just letting the silence settle. "My name is Madison Cruz," she began. Her voice was even, steady. "I served in the U.S. Navy for 14 years, Submarine Engineering Division, medically retired in 2013. A few heads nodded. No pens moved. No one interrupted. "I'm not here because I did anything heroic," she continued. "I'm here because 2 weeks ago, I was told again that I didn't look like a veteran." She paused. "Let that hang in the air. I was parked in a disabled vet spot. A man told me I must have faked it, that I looked like a receptionist, not like someone who served." Her eyes didn't flinch. Her hands didn't shake. "I've been asked if the placard belongs to my husband. I've been told I seem too soft to have done what I did. I've walked into rooms full of veterans and been asked if I was there to take notes." She looked down at the mic, then back up. "I'm not angry. I'm just tired." There was no shift in her tone, no rise, just a soft, persistent rhythm. "I'm tired of explaining, of proving, of presenting credentials just to exist." She glanced at the crowd again. "I don't want applause. I don't want headlines. I just want one day, one parking lot where no one stops me to ask why I'm allowed to be there." She let out a quiet breath and clicked the mic off. For a moment, no one moved. The moderator gave a polite nod, but didn't speak right away. No one clapped. That was the rule here. No performances. Madison turned and began walking back to her seat. Then, from the far side of the room, someone stood. At first, it was just movement, nothing unusual. But as the figure stepped forward, a few people turned their heads. The room shifted, almost imperceptibly, like a change in wind direction. He wasn't on the schedule, wasn't part of the VA. He didn't wear a badge or uniform. Just a plain navy jacket, zipped halfway, and a nervous look around his eyes. Madison saw him, froze mid-step. It was him, Hanley. He didn't wait for a mic. His voice wasn't loud, but the room had gone so still. Every word cut through. "I'm the man she's talking about," he said. A ripple passed through the seats, but no one said a word. "I was angry that day, or maybe just entitled. I said things I had no right to say." His hands were at his sides, open, unsteady. "I didn't know who she was, and I didn't care. I judged her in a matter of seconds, then walked away, like it meant nothing." He paused, swallowed. It meant something. No one moved. Even the moderator stayed silent. I lost my job. He continued. That's not important. What matters is I've been carrying this since it happened. Not because people yelled at me online, but because my own daughter looked at me different afterward. His voice cracked. Just once. I came today to say one thing. I'm sorry. He looked at Madison directly. Not pleading, not defensive. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted to say it in front of people because I hurt someone in public, and silence doesn't fix that. The room stayed quiet. Madison didn't speak right away. Then she took a step forward, slowly, deliberately, until she was standing just a few feet from him. She looked at him, studied his face not with anger, but with the careful attention of someone deciding what needed to be said. You can take back your word, she said, voice low and firm, but you can't take back the scar. She didn't mean the limp or the metal. She meant the years, the assumptions, the space in her life where trust used to be. Hanley nodded once, then stepped back. He didn't try to explain, didn't ask for anything else. Madison returned to her seat. No one clapped, and somehow that made it feel more real. The session ended half an hour later. Quiet conversations, a few nods, one or two handshakes. Madison didn't linger. She walked out the side door, past the old steel beams of the naval base's aging facade. The late afternoon sun caught the glass of her car as she approached, scattering light across the windshield. She opened the door, set her bag down, and sat behind the wheel. The placard still hung from the mirror. Disabled veteran, still crooked, still fading. She reached up to adjust it, then stopped. Instead, she left it exactly where it was, not to prove anything, not to hide, but because it belonged, just like she did. She closed the door, turned the key, and let the engine hum. For the first time in a long while, she didn't look over her shoulder before pulling out. She didn't have to.